Welcome to All Things Financial with Jack Driscoll. Each week, Jack takes on all things you thought were hard to understand about your finances and makes it fun, easy, but most of all interesting. From insurance to the best way to save your money and squeeze the most out of the dollars you put aside for your rainy day. And now you have a friend in the money business. Here's your host, Jack Driscoll.
Welcome back again, everyone, to another edition of All Things Financial. What I wanted to do this week was talk about a couple different stages in life type of planning, financial planning at different stages, and there are certain key trigger ages that we do certain things. So I thought I might take this show and just go over some of those trigger ages that prompt us to start thinking about certain things in financial planning. The first one I wanted to start with is the date of the birth of anybody, usually the grandkids or children, is a trigger date for us in financial planning, for not only the parents but also the grandparents. So I want to look at that and not forget that that is sometimes when we start those 529 plan contributions, when we start those college savings contributions. So that would be the start of this on a trigger date, would be the birth date of somebody, a new relative that we're going to have, and we might be doing some planning for them. Then I think I want to really have you think early on the college loan nightmare. I do think it starts from lack of planning at the birth of the child. So I want to reiterate, there's a bigger problem than anybody realizes with this college education, the college, what we call financial aid dilemma, because it's mostly loans that the student has to bear once they get out of school. I heard yesterday, I was at a conference, and there was someone explaining and lamenting about they know someone who is trying to sell a healthcare practice and they can't find anyone to buy the healthcare practice, mainly because the kids coming out of college are so strapped with debt and student loans, they can't afford any funding to buy the practice. So they're starting off in a bad way. And they can't, the owner was even willing to take back financing or finance the loan themselves, carry the loan, and the students are not in a financial situation that they felt comfortable enough to be able to handle those payments. So I thought about that afterwards a little bit, and I thought a lot of this college planning, I've been in business for 40 years. We've always talked about prepare for college in advance, fund for college, save for college. I think one of the biggest reasons we have the college loan crisis was the lack of saving for college. So I want to point that out to those of you who are just having newborn children and grandchildren. These college expenses today are so much higher than they were when the children and grandchildren were born. So when we were preparing back in the 80s, we were saying in 16, 18 years, it'll be $100,000 per child to fund a college education. And back then, the college in a state school might have only been $5,000 to $6,000 a year. So we were looking at $15,000, maybe $20,000 for the whole 4 years. And here we were projecting $100,000, seemingly unbelievable. But as we all now know, that indeed came to pass. That high expense for college is here, and it's what's caused the scholarship, financial aid, loan crisis, I think, that we're witnessing today. From lack of taking that advice 20 and 30 years ago, to hard or just not having the money to do it. And that's the other issue. So when someone's born, the first trigger age, brace yourselves. We may not want to take all the vacations or all the new cars or something, we may want to reevaluate our financial planning right from the start because there are new loved ones that enter into the mix. The next age, key age I know, is age 21. Now we hit 18, which is the age of majority, but financial planning wise, that comes into play even before age 21, which in Pennsylvania is legal age for many things of being an adult. But age 18, the federal age of majority, that comes into play when there were any accounts that we set up on behalf of the child. UGMA, Uniform Gift to Minors accounts, Uniform Transfer to Minor accounts, UTMAs, are very common. They are accounts where we used to use to put money aside on behalf of a child while they were still a minority, which means under age 18. They could not hold those funds themselves, so they were held in a trust for them, basically, or an account, UGMA or UTMA account, on their behalf. And all the funds that were contributed to that were put in there on behalf of the child, but run and managed by usually a parent as the guardian, let's say, of those funds, or the custodian, whatever we want to call them. They are custodians by the definition of those accounts. So at age 18, the problem was automatic trigger date. At age 18, all of those funds are available to the child, which is now reached age of majority, age 18. And the purpose for those funds might have been college, but the non-student, age 18-year-old, decides to go out and discover themselves in California with their girlfriend or boyfriend and blow that money. There's nothing you could do to stop it. So that's a trigger date you need to be aware of. Age 21 is a trigger date. It's an obvious trigger date. And we have to be a little bit careful now at this age, between 21 and 24, for income taxes. Can we still claim those age dependents as a dependent on the parents' income tax return? Well, it depends on a couple different factors. Number one, are they still a student? Are they a student in higher education? Are they living at home or away? Are they working? So those are tests to, can we still claim the children that are in school, in college, as our dependent until they graduate? Yes, sometimes. If they're working and earn too much, they'll be disqualified for that and have to file their own income tax return. Now know this, it is possible, if you meet the definitions, that the parent can still take the personal exemption for the child, even though the student needs to file their own income tax return. So get to a competent tax advisor to find out, yes, they have to file an income tax return, but do they have to claim their own personal exemption, or can we, the parents, still have it as a dependent? Then we get to age 26. Outside of this area of 24, beyond that, they're no longer eligible as a dependent anyway on the income taxes. Then we climb to age 26, and we get into the age where now they're getting to the point where they're no longer eligible on the parent's hospitalization, the group family plan. So you want to know those rules because there are certain trigger dates there that come into play. And after that date, you may have to help your child, who's either working or not working by then, get health insurance and help them shop. Remember, this is their first time for all of this. So don't leave them on their own, even though they claim to want independence and nothing to do with you, maybe even by that point. Help them out. Now that brings up my next point. A trigger date is every year's birth date. And here, remember, the show is called All Things Financial. So I wanted to talk to you about something financial that's just a little bonus. Everywhere, it seems, has discounts for birthdays. A lot of them are on the internet, and a lot of them are email sign-ups for restaurants. So all your favorite restaurants, all your places, your favorite places to go, I implore you to ask, do you have a birthday membership? Usually it's an email that they'll send you that's up to maybe $30 off on a meal, and sometimes nobody even has to buy a meal to get one. It's just up to $30 off, or maybe one of the fast food restaurants, it might be a free meal there. And there are so many of them. You can either do a web search for birthday specials, birthday memberships, restaurant birthday specials, things like that, or ask everywhere that you go and get on their birthday memberships. But there are so many of them, and they really work. I wanted to point them out on the show because that's a trigger date. Every year's birthday, I want you to think about that. Where could I get more discounts and bonuses? And they're not all where, oh, I have to take someone else and then it's a buy one, get one free. A lot of those are truly, you can go in by yourself, you can get the discount. Well, it's not a discount, it's a free meal or whatever, and leave. Some of them are really good. So I wanted to share that with many of you that you know that exists. Then we go the whole way up to, in my explanation today, we get the whole way up into, I think every 10-year mark, I need you to, at age 30, age 40, age 50, evaluate and re-evaluate your life planning. We're now age 30. If you were under age 30, you don't like to hit that number. If you're under age 40, you don't like to hit that number. But time is marching on. So what I want you to do, especially at those milestones, take a step back. Stop and look at your current situation. Are you where you wanted to be at that point in time? Are you doing what you wanted to do? Are you where you wanted to be? Are you as financially sound as you had hoped you would be? And usually the answer to all of those questions is no. So I want you to stop, pause, and look at your lives and the decisions that you're making and have made in the past and circumstances that you've had to deal with. Some of these situations are based on and as a result of decisions you've made in the past cause you to be where you are today. So you at age 30 and you at age 40 have an opportunity to change not where you'll be right now, but you do certainly have an ability to change between now, if you're age 40, to where you'll be at age 50 by making different decisions, different choices, dealing with the things that are within your control and recognizing different circumstances that are beyond your control, and accept that there are circumstances that you won't be able to control. Based on that, though, you'll alter the areas that you can control. Now you're getting wiser, realizing there are things out of your control, but what's in your control, maybe we better tighten those up a little bit as a safety gap to provide for and allow for that some other additional circumstances between the next 10 years are going to come up that are beyond your control. So build in safety buffers there with those areas you can control. You'll see you'll get a lot closer to your goals than you think you can. Now we hit a major milestone, which is age 55. And age 55 is a milestone again for discounts. So I want you to first start thinking discounts. And I want you to look at senior discounts at age 55. You'll see many people very young at age 55, but that qualify for senior discounts. So now's when you start to ask, when are your senior discounts? Do you have any senior discounts? Save a couple dollars here, save a couple dollars there. It does work. And a lot of the senior discount ages are still 55. Even some of the local public golf courses. I know South Park Golf Course, I believe theirs is 55, their senior membership. So I want you to look into those things at 55, and again, ARP. So you want to look at those different areas. The other thing at 55, I want you to start looking at, I want you to ramp up your retirement planning. You're getting closer. I still think the optimal retirement age for most people should be 66. Most people I talk to think the optimal retirement age, though, is the earliest they can get out, whatever it is. So we do differ on that as a financial planner, in my opinion, and many people's personal opinion on when is the optimal time to retire. But I will tell you, whenever you feel your optimal age to retire is 10 years prior to that date, you better ramp up your retirement planning. Get to a professional, start doing the math, do the numbers, look at the accounts. How should the funds be positioned? How much income do you need? And what choices and options do you need to make now to leverage up that you'll have enough money to retire on at your optimal retirement age as projected by both you and the professionals around you. The other thing I want you to take into account is not only the question that I get asked all the time, when can I retire? Do I have enough to retire? How do I know how much I need to retire? But go beyond that. What are the problems people have experienced that have gone before us in their retirement years that we need to identify, plan for, and protect for? Because there are areas that are wiping total retirements out. And the biggest one is health. That is not being addressed in many retirement, I'll say in retirement planning, because most retirement planning is dependent on who's doing the planning. So if you have a sophisticated planner, you're probably having a total different retirement planning experience than if you're doing it yourself or dealing with just someone who deals in only one area of retirement, so-called retirement planning. So if you're dealing with someone that just deals with money, they're saying, here's how much it costs to retire. A 4% withdrawal rate safe, a 3% withdrawal rate safe. All of that is so only surface-based planning. It's bound to lead you into trouble. But what you're looking at is, can I afford to retire at 62? Well, how much do you need? $4,000 a month. Well, here's where $4,000 a month will come from. Yes, you can afford to retire. That is way too simplistic. Most people I shouldn't say most, many people are living 30 years into their retirement years. If you're a married couple, statistics will bear out at least planning for 25 years, and that one of the two of you might need to go into a nursing home. All of these factors need put into place, and you need an increasing income through your retirement years, just as you did the last 30 years. Your income still has to increase. It can't be fixed or locked in. If it is, the world around you continues to increase costs. Taxes go up, gas goes up, food goes up, and your income doesn't go up. That's foolishness. So we look at that beginning at age 50 or 55. My target date for looking at healthcare risks and long-term care is 55. So that's your next trigger date. Now we get to age 62. That's a trigger date for early Social Security retirement. The factor in age 62 is about a 25% reduction of your normal retirement income from Social Security. So if you're willing to take a 25% reduction for the rest of your life, by the way, out of your Social Security income, monthly income checks, you can retire at age 62 now. Very dangerous thing to do for most people, but you can. So it's a trigger date. 62 is a trigger date. Then we jump up to age 65. Now, 65 is a trigger date for Medicare. You must enroll in most cases in Medicare at age 65, usually 3 months prior to attaining the age of 65, whether you need it or not. Hear me carefully, whether you need it or not. Even if you're still working, you still have group hospitalization, your employer plan is in place or your individual plan, you need to look up, talk to people at Social Security, and find out if you are eligible to apply for Medicare. Here's what you do. You apply for Medicare Part A, and then you just don't take it. So you're not paying anything. But the reason you need to apply then is because if you wait and you're still working until 66 or 68 and then retire and then lose your health plan at work, decide to apply for Medicare, you will hear from Medicare. Since you didn't apply for Medicare at 65, there's a 1% penalty, surcharge, on your premiums for the rest of your life now that you are applying. You'll say, wait a minute, I didn't apply at 65. I was still covered under my group plan. And you know the government, they say, it doesn't matter. You were supposed to apply and then just not take the benefits because you're exempt from needing the benefits. And you say, how would I know that? Well, you're listening to All Things Financial, so that's how you know that. So that's what you need to do. Age 65, trigger date. Age 66, now we are at most people's current normal age of Social Security retirement. That means you are getting 100% of your normal Social Security checks, and your spouse will get either their own if they choose to file, or half of your check, whichever is larger. I won't go into that in detail on this show, and it depends on the spouse's age also. So they have to be of filing age to collect, whether they're 62, 66, 66 in 3 months, whatever your Social Security statement says, your trigger date, it's 66 and something months, normally. Then we get to age 70, and that trigger date is the time that if you've not, well, actually, I'll get to 59 and a half. I skipped that. Age 59 and a half, I missed. That is the trigger age. That's the first date you can begin taking money out of an IRA without being penalized. At age 59 and a half, you can start withdrawing funds from a deductible IRA or a Roth IRA and not be penalized. You will, however, be taxed. They are taxable funds from a traditional IRA, but you will not incur the additional 10% penalty. So at age 59 and a half, the green light is on that you're now able to start taking withdrawals from your IRAs if you want to. At age 70 and a half, this other trigger point is the back end age, that if you had not taken minimum distributions, you must start taking minimum distributions from your traditional deductible IRAs. So by the time you reach age 70 and a half, if you're not taking from your traditional IRAs, you better start. There is a penalty to not start by the time you're 70 and a half from a traditional IRA, and it is up to 50% of what was supposed to be taken every year. You don't have to cash them in. You just have to start taking a lifetime income. That does not apply for Roth IRAs. Roth IRAs do not have that requirement. So you're allowed to take a Roth anytime after 59 and a half, but you're not required to take from a Roth ever in your lifetime. And of course, we'll get into beneficiaries in other shows as I have before. That's my talk for today on trigger dates. The last thing I want you to do and leave you with is, what is the trigger date for when to get a will? What is your trigger date for when it's time you're supposed to get your will? Well, that's different for everybody, but I'm telling you, most of the people I talk to, 50% do not have a will. They've missed it. So the trigger date to me has to be when you get out on your own. Immediately when you get any sign of responsibility or sense of responsibility, get a will so that nobody's burdened with what to do with whatever you're starting to create. So it's real early, folks. It's age 21, 23, 24, 26. By then, you're late. If you haven't gotten one already, somebody's going to be burdened by a lot of unnecessary problems and headaches because you didn't get one. So talk to people about that, but the trigger date to get a will is way back in time, back to the age probably 26 at the latest, or when you're married if earlier than that, or have children if earlier than that. Pay attention, folks. These are important trigger points. Listen to this show over and over again. Write them down. Follow them as a map. Share them with your friends. Get them on our email list. I'm out of time for today. I appreciate you tuning in to another edition of All Things Financial, and I'll be back again next week.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through SagePoint Financial Inc., member FINRA SIPC, and registered investment advisor. Insurance services offered through Driscoll Insurance and Financial Services Inc., which is not affiliated with SagePoint Financial Inc.